It was a tribute to my father at 56 Hope Road, the Bob Marley Museum. And I was trying to get through the gate. And one of the security guys saw me trying to come through and started to clear the way for me. And he was like, make space, Gong Jr. coming.
In a world where shadows of legends run deep, one hidden truth shattered more than just whispers. A secret buried under fame and family exploded into the light, so powerful it cracked a name built on unity and love. Now everything we believed about roots, loyalty, and identity stands undone and lives inside a truth too strong to stay silent. For years, Damian Marley lived under the huge shadow of his father, the iconic Bob Marley. Bob wasn't just a singer, he was a symbol, a movement, a worldwide voice for peace and unity. Damian, often called Junior Gong, carried the weight of that name while building a music career of his own. Though he honored his father, he made sure to also step into the spotlight in his own way. But for a long time, there were whispers, doubts, rumors. Was there something behind the calm image? Something hidden behind the music, behind the dreadlocks and peaceful lyrics? The whispers grew into questions. And then, in one shocking moment, the truth snapped into focus. A single DNA test changed everything. And not just for Damian, it rocked the entire Marley name. Damian's life didn't start like the rest of the Marley children. Bob Marley passed away when Damian was only 2 years old. That meant Damian didn't grow up with his famous father's guidance. Instead, he was raised in Stony Hill, a wealthy area in Kingston, Jamaica. His mother, Cindy Breakspear, wasn't just anyone. She was Miss World 1976 and the inspiration for Bob Marley's famous song, Is This Love? Cindy later married Tom Tavares Finson, a well-known criminal lawyer and politician. Damian grew up in that household, surrounded by people with power and influence. But Damian always felt different. His stepfather and half-siblings were white Jamaicans. He was the only brown-skinned child in the home. That contrast shaped how he saw the world. His father had been a Rastafarian who stood for black empowerment. His stepfather represented the very system his father called Babylon. This was the first split in Damian's world. Love on one side, power on the other, and identity stuck somewhere in the middle. Damian didn't always plan to be a musician. In fact, he once dreamed of being an architect, but after finishing school, something called him to music. He embraced his father's Rastafarian beliefs, believing in unity, one love, and spiritual awareness. He also embraced reggae, but with a twist. He added dancehall and hip-hop, creating a style that was both new and familiar. Damian's lyrics spoke about real life, the struggles in Jamaica, the pain of poverty, and the hope of change. His breakout hit, Welcome to Jamrock, didn't just sound good, it said something powerful. The song hit #1, 13 in the UK and number 55 in the US, and Rolling Stone listed it in their top 100 songs of the decade. Damian did something Bob Marley never achieved. He earned a platinum single in America with Make It Bundem, his 2012 collaboration with EDM producer Skrillex. But as Damian rose higher, so did the tension. For years, rumors swirled about Damian and Ziggy, Bob's eldest son. Were they fighting? Did they disagree about the Marley brand? The talk got louder around the 2024 release of the Bob Marley biopic One Love. Ziggy and Cedella Marley helped produce the movie. British actor Kingsley Ben-Adir played Bob, which some fans found odd. Why not cast a real Jamaican? Why not a Marley? Damian didn't audition. He didn't promote the film. He didn't even attend any premieres, not in Jamaica, not abroad. Some believe this was a silent protest. Others pointed out that Cindy Breakspear, Damian's mother, was left out of the film completely. Ziggy denied the rumors. In interviews, he said Damian was simply busy and that the family was still united. But fans weren't so sure, especially after Damian went quiet on social media. Despite the whispers, something magical happened in 2024 and 2025. Bob Marley's 5 sons, Ziggy, Stephen, Damian, Kai Mani, and Julian, joined forces for the Legacy Tour. It was the first time in 2 decades they had performed together. The tour honored their father's memory, leading up to what would have been his 80th birthday in 2025. During a show in Chula Vista, California, the 5 brothers took turns performing Bob's classics: Get Up, Stand Up, No More Trouble, 3 Little Birds, and more. Damian brought energy to Is This Love, while Stephen nailed Don't Rock My Boat. They also shared their own songs. Julian performed Boom Draw, Kaimani did New Heights, Damian and Steven rocked their duet Medication. It was unity in motion, or at least it looked that way. Behind the curtain, fans still wondered, was this real unity or just performance? Long before the Legacy tour, Damian was already a star. At 13, he formed a group called The Shepherds. It didn't last, but it led to his solo path. His first album, Mr. Marley, came out under Tough Gong, Bob Marley's label. It surprised people Damian DJ'd more than he sang. Then came Halfway Tree in 2001. It represented his life between two worlds, his wealthy mother's side and his father's poorer background. Halfway Tree won the Grammy for Best Reggae Album. His third album, Welcome to Jamrock, sold 86,000 copies in its first week and went gold. It won 2 Grammys in one night. In 2010, Damian released Distant Relatives with rapper Nas. It blended hip-hop, reggae, and African music and helped fund schools in the Congo. The album hit #1, 5 on the US Billboard 200. He later teamed up with Mick Jagger, Joss Stone, and A.R. Rahman to form the supergroup Super Heavy. He even collaborated with Skrillex on the hit Make It Bun Dem. In 2017, Damian dropped Stony Hill, winning another Grammy. His voice, message, and mix of styles made him one of the most respected artists of his time. Then, in 2025, everything changed. A DNA test shook the Marley name. Reports say Damian took the test privately. The result? It suggested he might not be Bob Marley's biological son. The news sent shockwaves through the music world. Fans were stunned. Could it be true? Damian stayed silent at first. Then, he spoke, but not with music. He reportedly broke off ties that many believed were unbreakable. This wasn't just a personal matter, it was about legacy, about the meaning of the Marley name. If Damian wasn't Bob's son by blood, did that erase everything he'd built, or did his music, message, and mission stand on their own? The Marley family always stood for one thing: unity through war, poverty, and pain. Their music said, "One love." But now a crack runs through that legacy, not because of hate, but because of truth. Damian's journey is no less powerful. He grew up between worlds, found his voice, and gave people music that made them feel something real. Maybe that's what family truly is. Not blood, but the bonds we choose. Even if the DNA says one thing, Damian's music says another. He may no longer carry the Marley name in full, but he still carries its soul. And in the end, that might be the most honest legacy of all.
What a shock. The thing that everyone is feeling today is shock. We all knew that he wasn't very well, but after that triumphant concert, and then this suddenly...
Yeah, it was a shock for us. I mean,
in the dim backstage corridors of Villa Park on July 5th, 2025, a wheelchair-bound figure approached his longtime bandmate with trembling hands. Ozzy Osbourne, the legendary Prince of Darkness, had just delivered what would unknowingly become his final performance with Black Sabbath. He asked, "Oh, it went all right, didn't it?" swinging reassurance from the man who had shared 5 decades of musical history with him. Lamy replied, "Yeah, it did," unaware that these would be among their last words together. Just 17 days later, the rock world would lose one of its most iconic voices, but the story of Osbourne's final months reveals a man who defied his failing body to deliver one last gift to the fans who had loved him for over half a century. What drove the 76-year-old rocker to push through devastating illness for one final moment in the spotlight? And what did his closest friend discover about the true cost of that farewell? In 2020, after keeping it secret for nearly 2 decades, he disclosed that he had been battling Parkinson's disease since 2003. The man who had once bounded across stages, pulled faces at his bandmates, and commanded audiences with raw energy was now confined to a chair, his movements limited, and his days filled with medical appointments. Through this devastating decline, one constant remained by his side. Tony Iommi, the Black Sabbath guitarist who had weathered decades of friendship, conflict, and reconciliation with Osbourne, became more than just a bandmate during these dark times. Iommi reportedly visited Osbourne in the hospital multiple times, sat with him during difficult days, and offered encouragement when his friend struggled with the knowledge that his body could no longer do what it once could. Despite the relentless progression of his illness, Osbourne remained stubbornly determined about one thing: performing one final show with his original Black Sabbath bandmates. The idea of the Back to the Beginning concert began taking shape in 2024, with Osbourne speaking passionately about the importance of having Bill Ward with the group one last time. Initially, Iommi had reservations about the reunion. Lammy explained to The Guardian before the show, "I'm the one that said, I don't know if we should do it because we did a farewell tour and I didn't want to get into that thing like all the other bands are doing, saying it's the last tour and then reappearing again." However, when the decision was made to dedicate proceeds to Birmingham's Children's Hospital, Acorn Children's Hospice, and Cure Parkinson's, Iommi realized the deeper purpose. He said, "But I've been convinced, because we're doing it for a reason, no one's getting paid or anything." What Iommi didn't fully understand at the time was that for Osbourne, this concert represented something far more personal than charity or nostalgia. As rehearsals began, the extent of Osbourne's determination became clear to everyone involved. He's not looked well through the rehearsals, Iommi later disclosed, describing how they had to carefully manage his friend's limited energy. The band took extraordinary precautions to preserve Osbourne's strength for the actual performance. "We didn't want him there every day at rehearsal because it's too much," Iommi explained. "He just wouldn't be able to stand it. So they'd bring him in and he'd sit down and sing a few songs, and then we'd talk about some rubbish old times or whatever, have a laugh, and then he'd go." On the night of July 5th, Birmingham welcomed its most famous sons home for one last celebration. The Back to the Beginning concert was structured as a dual farewell, with Osbourne first performing 5 songs with his solo band before joining Black Sabbath for a 4-song set that included War Pigs, NIB, Iron Man, and Paranoid. Despite his physical limitations, the emotional power of the performance was undeniable. After the show concluded, the band members retreated to their separate dressing rooms, following the routine they had maintained for decades. "He went to his dressing room, and I went to mine, and G's went to his, and so on," Iommi recalled, describing their usual post-performance ritual. But Osbourne made one final gesture that would haunt Iommi in the days to come, and then he came over. He came around before he was leaving on a wheelchair that brought him in to say goodbye and have a little chat for a bit, Iommi remembered. "And he seemed all right. He enjoyed it. And he said, 'Oh, it went all right, didn't it?' I said, 'Yeah, it did.'" The next day brought an ominous text message that Iommi would later recognize as a warning sign. "But as I say, when I had the text off him the day before yesterday saying he's tired and he's really got no energy," Iommi remembered with growing concern. "And I thought, oh dear, 'cause it's a lot for him to do that under the problems he's got." These words would prove prophetic as Osbourne's condition rapidly deteriorated following his final performance. On July 22, 2025, the music world received the devastating news that Ozzy Osbourne had passed away at age 76, surrounded by his family, including his wife Sharon and their children. "It was a shock for us," he confessed in an emotional interview with ITV. "When I heard yesterday, it couldn't sink in. I thought, it can't be. I only had a text from him the day before. It just seemed unreal. Surreal." In the aftermath of Osbourne's death, Iommi began to piece together the true significance of their final performance. "I think he really just held out to do that show," he reflected with growing understanding. "I really feel, me and Geezer were talking about it last night, that we think he held out to do it. And just after that, he's done it and said goodbye to the fans. And that was the end of it, really." The realization that his friend had essentially willed himself to survive long enough for one final farewell added profound meaning to an already emotional experience. Iommi's tribute to his fallen bandmate was both heartbreaking. "I think he must have had something in his head that said, 'Well, this is going to be it, the last thing I'm ever going to do,'" he told ITV through visible tears. "Whether he thought he was going to die or what, I don't know, but he really wanted to do it, and he was determined to do it. And fair dues, he'd done it." The guitarist's words painted a picture of a man who refused to let illness define his final chapter, choosing instead to end his extraordinary career on his own terms. Iommi reflected on the deeper meaning of their final collaboration and what it represented for his longtime friend. But the gig was for him, really, and for us to say goodbye. 'Cause also Sabbath saying goodbye. It was the end of the band, and we'll never do that again. Looking back on that final performance, Iommi found solace in knowing they had given Osbourne exactly what he needed. It meant everything to him. This is what we built up for that big ending where he could see all the people and we could all see all the people and close it in that way. Ozzy Osbourne's final performance was more than entertainment. It was an act of love, determination, and closure that transcended the boundaries between performer and audience, past and present, life and legacy. In the heart of our cities, a quiet survivor walks among us. Its head bobs up and down, its wings hold stories older than kings and castles. Most people call it dirty, but this bird has carried secret messages in wars, traveled miles to find home, and saved lives. Today you will see the most misunderstood pigeon in the world. We all see pigeons. They peck at crumbs, sit on rooftops, and sometimes fly past our heads. Many people call them rats with wings. But that's not fair. Pigeons and doves are the same kind of bird. The only difference is the name. Dove sounds pretty. Pigeon sounds ugly. But they are the same bird in the Columbidae family. The pigeon most of us see is called the rock pigeon. Long ago, it lived on cliffs by the sea. Today, it uses tall buildings and bridges the same way. We didn't invite pigeons to cities. They came because we built our cities on their old homes. A long time ago, pigeons were special pets for rich people. In France, before the French Revolution, keeping pigeons showed you had money and power. Famous people kept pigeons too. Charles Darwin studied them to understand how animals change over time. Nikola Tesla loved pigeons, especially one white bird he called beautiful. Pigeons were also used to send messages before telephones existed. In wars, carrier pigeons carried secret notes across battlefields. One bird, Cher Ami, saved almost 200 soldiers in World War I by carrying a message, even after being shot and losing a leg. The message told the army to stop firing on their own men. The pigeons you see today might be the great-great-grandchildren of these heroes. Pigeons are much smarter than most people think. Scientists have found that they can recognize themselves in a mirror, which shows they understand what they are seeing. They can remember human faces for years, which means they know who is kind to them and who is not. Pigeons can also see colors that humans can't, like ultraviolet light, and they can sense the Earth's magnetic field to find their way home. Some have been known to travel hundreds of miles and still return to their nests. They can fly faster than 50 miles an hour and keep going for hours without resting. These skills are why people once used them to carry messages over long distances. Today, even though city pigeons don't carry secret notes anymore, they still use their sharp minds and strong wings to survive every single day in a busy, dangerous world. Life in a busy city is not easy for a pigeon. Many get string foot when hair, thread, or wires get wrapped around their toes. The string cuts into their skin, making it hard to walk or fly. If it's not removed, they can lose toes or even a whole foot. Others get bumblefoot, a painful infection from standing on hot signs or rough cement. Cars, predators like hawks, and people who harm them make life even harder. A pigeon in the wild city might live only 3 to 5 years, but a pigeon in a safe home or rescue can live 15 to 20 years. Some people love pigeons and spend their days helping them. In New York City, the Wild Bird Fund rescues and heals thousands of animals every year. Half of them are pigeons. About 500 to 600 come in with string foot. Volunteers catch them gently, remove the tangles, and bandage their feet. One rescuer, Lori Lapatine, can spot a sick pigeon in a crowd and catch it without scaring it away. Another rescued a bird with a bamboo ring around its foot. Without help, that bird would have died. These rescuers don't get fame or big rewards, but to the pigeons, they are heroes. Sadly, not everyone is kind to pigeons. In some cities, people trap pigeons illegally and send them to other states to be used as live targets in shooting contests. These birds are often taken right off sidewalks and parks, even though laws try to protect them. Another harmful act is releasing white pigeons at weddings or funerals. Many people think it is a beautiful tradition, but these birds are usually tame and do not know how to survive in the wild. Without food or shelter, they can get lost, starve, or be attacked by predators within days. Believe it or not, pigeons are getting famous again on the internet. Some pet pigeons, like Pidgey, have thousands of followers on TikTok. People watch them riding in handbags, napping on couches, or walking outside in tiny bird harnesses. Groups like Palomacy and Great Lakes Pigeon Rescue find homes for injured or lost pigeons. In the UK, Penny's Pigeon Aid teaches people how special these birds are. Owners say pigeons are like cats and dogs mixed together, loyal, funny, and sometimes moody. They can be loving pets if cared for well. Many things people believe about pigeons are not true. Some say pigeons spread many diseases, but scientists have found that the chance of a pigeon passing sickness to humans is very low. Others say pigeons are dirty, but they actually like to stay clean. It's only when they live in unsafe or messy places that their feathers get dirty or damaged. Some people also think pigeons are not smart, but they can learn tricks, remember people, and even recognize themselves in a mirror. The truth is that pigeons are survivors, and most of the bad things we think about them come from misunderstandings and myths, not from facts. Pigeons are more than just city birds. They help scientists learn about the health of neighborhoods. If pigeons in an area have high levels of lead in their blood, it can mean that children living there might also be exposed to lead. This makes pigeons like tiny warning systems for the environment. They are also part of our culture and history, appearing in ancient art, religious stories, and war records. Pigeons carried important messages across battlefields and saved lives. Today, they continue to connect people through rescue groups, education, and even social media, showing they still matter in modern life. If you watch pigeons long enough, you'll see they each have a personality. Some are brave and chase gulls away from food. Some wait patiently until the crowd is gone. Some stand close to their mate all day. One rescuer once said, "When you see pigeons on the sidewalk, remember, some of these birds have the blood of heroes." It's true. Every pigeon has a story. Most of us just never stop to listen. The most misunderstood pigeon in the world is not one single bird, it's the whole species. People see them as pests, but they are war heroes, messengers, and friends. Next time you see one, don't just walk by. Look at it. Think about the cliffs its ancestors flew from. Think about the soldiers they saved. Think about the people who rescue them today. They are not just city birds. They are part of our story, and they deserve more than crumbs.
I'm the Ibiza final boss.
It started with a dance, a haircut, a moment in the neon light, and in just a few days, one man went from a normal holiday to living like a rock star. But fame this fast always has a shadow, and Ibiza's final boss might be hiding one too. Today, we're pulling back the curtain. It was just another hot night on the Spanish island of Ibiza, the world's most famous party capital. At the venue 06 West, music pounded, lights flashed, and in the middle of the crowd, a man in a black designer vest, chunky gold chain, and dark sunglasses was dancing, cool, calm, and completely in his own world. But it wasn't just his moves people noticed, it was that haircut. A perfect blunt bowl cut, so sharp it looked like it had been drawn with a ruler. The club posted a short video online asking, "Does anyone know this absolute legend, cause we've got 2 free guest list spots with his name on it?" Within hours, the clip exploded. 18 million views on TikTok, memes flooded in, and people started calling him something strange yet perfect. The Ibiza final boss. Fans imagined him like the last and toughest opponent in a video game set in Ibiza, someone you face only when you've partied long and hard enough to unlock the final level. One viral comment summed it up. "You haven't really been to Ibiza until you faced him, the final boss, Big Jack K." By the next morning, his real name was everywhere, Jack K, a 26-year-old from Newcastle, England, and his life would never be the same. Every hero or villain has a signature look. For Jack, it was that helmet-like bowl cut, and the internet couldn't get enough of it. Some joked it was Ibiza at 11, bullying King John to sign the Magna Carta at 12, while others called it the chestnut mushroom cut. Someone even thought it was a hat. Jack didn't just stumble on this style. His barber, Ali Kurbani from B&D Barbers in Blade and Gateshead, had been cutting his hair for a decade. On August 7th, after Jack flew back to the UK, he went straight to Ali's chair for a fresh trim before heading back to Ibiza. They hugged, took a photo, and Ali revealed the magic recipe. A medium skin fade on the sides, a bit of length on top for the helmet shape, and a sharp fringe across the front. The price was about £26 unless Jack tipped more. Ali admitted he never expected the style to blow up, but he's proud of his client. "I've been doing this job for a while, and this is incredible," he said. We've been cutting Jack's hair for about 10 years and never expected this level of attention. Now, other barbers around the UK say they're getting requests for the final boss cut every day. When Jack left Newcastle for Ibiza, he was just another lad looking for a good time. Within a week, brands like Curry's and Greg's were making memes about him. Booking.com even messaged him, "Hey legend, we want to get you back to Ibiza for an extended stay. Check your DMS." Fans worshipped his energy. One tweet read, "This man went on holiday as Jack and left as Ibiza's final boss. Next week, he'll have a podcast. Next month, he'll launch a crypto coin." Even strangers in Ibiza started hunting for selfies with him. Some copied his haircut. Others dressed up as him for the night. The transformation was complete. Jack was now a living, breathing meme. Viral fame doesn't just bring attention, it brings money. And for Jack, the numbers are eye-opening. Industry experts estimate that he could earn between £1,000 and £5,000 for a single club appearance, and anywhere from £1,000 to £2,000 for each sponsored post he makes on social media. If he decides to branch out into selling merchandise like wigs, sunglasses, or t-shirts, those could easily bring in tens of thousands more. Nick Ide, a brand and culture expert, explained the appeal. "He's captured the zeitgeist," Ide said. "He's a living caricature, exactly what you think people who go to Ibiza should look and act like. It's crazy." The real game changer came when Jack signed with Neon Management, the same agency behind Joey Essex and Love Island Stars. With their guidance, the Ibiza final boss isn't just a fleeting summer meme, he's being packaged and promoted for a much bigger stage, with a final boss tour already in the works. Just when people thought Jack was riding solo, a new face stepped into the spotlight, Alicia Cook, 23, from Durham. She works as a debt collector and social media coordinator, and she's Jack's girlfriend. Alicia joined the fun, posting TikToks with captions like, "POV, your boyfriend's now known as the Ibiza final boss." Some called her Mrs. Boss. Others weren't so kind, and her social media took a hit from nasty comments. Supporters clapped back, saying, "They look happy and he seems cool. Good luck. Hope you make a mint." Like Jack, Alicia insists they're both just normal people, but they're learning fast that internet fame isn't always friendly. It's one thing to go viral, it's another to keep it going. Jack wasted no time. He set up TikTok and Instagram accounts, quickly hitting 60,000 plus followers. He changed his profile picture to a Lego figure of himself, bowl cut and all. Then came the big move. Neon Management signed him. This agency has made reality TV personalities into millionaires, and they're sending Jack on tour, likely to Ibiza, UK clubs, and maybe even festivals. Jack himself teased fans in an Instagram story, "Stay locked in. Got some big news coming." Whatever it is, it's clear he's not letting this moment pass quietly. It's easy to get lost in the fun of this story. Cool haircut, memes, private jets, but Ibiza's bright lights can hide deep shadows. Behind the dance floors, locals face high living costs and seasonal work that barely pays. The same clubs that make people famous also have problems with crime, drugs, and exploitation. Visitors often burn through their money chasing the Ibiza dream, only to go home broke and exhausted. Viral fame has its own dangers: pressure to stay relevant, constant public judgment, and the risk of being forgotten as quickly as you were discovered. Jack's smiling now, but internet fame can turn sour overnight. The truth: Ibiza's final boss might not just be a joke, he could be a warning about what happens when the party never stops. Jack K, Ibiza's final boss, is unforgettable. In days, he's gone from Newcastle to neon legend. But fame this fast burns bright and burns out. That bowl cut, a perfect mask. That dance, a perfect distraction. But every viral star faces the same question: what happens when the music stops? Next time someone takes over your social feed, remember, behind the laugh, behind the look, there's always a shadow. The real final boss might not be Jack at all. It might be the game we're all playing without knowing it.
That the stones used in building the Great Pyramid came from Torah, and Torah is a 25 mile to the east.
What if everything you learned about the pyramids was a complete fabrication? The official narrative tells us that Pharaoh Khufu built the Great Pyramid using copper tools and 20,000 workers in just 20 years around 2500 BCE. But Graham Hancock, a former journalist for The Economist, who has spent over 3 decades investigating ancient civilizations across the globe, claims this timeline is not just wrong, it's physically impossible. His research suggests we're not the first advanced civilization to walk this earth, and the proof lies buried beneath centuries of academic denial. Graham Hancock represents a different breed of researcher. Unlike traditional Egyptologists confined to academic institutions, Hancock has traveled from the pyramids of Egypt to the jungles of Indonesia, from sunken ruins off Japan's coast to the temples of Central America. His multidisciplinary approach combines geology, astronomy, ancient languages, and comparative mythology to disclose patterns that mainstream academia consistently ignores.